Looking at the True North Raven wrap, getting ready to assemble it onto the tripod. The entire system ships in the primary accessory pouch. Primary accessory pouch comes with two zippers, directional zippers from each side. The face has a Velcro enclosure there so that nothing flops open when you've got range cards or TRP cards or any kind of reference card in there. And the inside of the primary accessory pouch on the face side is all loop-sided Velcro. So you can put bullet holders in there or anything to organize map pens or anything like that. The entire system will ship in that pouch. Once you pull it out of the pouch, you have 3 accessory straps that'll come, 3 adhesive backed Velcro strips that'll be in the package, 3 leg sleeves. Those leg sleeves come with shot cord attached to them for your veg tie points, 1 MOLLE panel, 1 triangular MOLLE panel, and your hammock to be your equipment shelf once the system is all put together. So the very first thing that you need to do once you pull the tripod out is make sure that your legs of the tripod, the outboard side of the legs of the tripod, are very, very clean. You can use rubbing alcohol, acetone, something like that, just to wipe those down, get all the dust off of that. So once we have the legs of the tripod cleaned up, all de-dusted, make sure that there's no any kind of residue on there, we can install our adhesive backed Velcro strips. They go on the outboard sides of each leg. And what these really do is they ensure that there's no rotation on the leg sleeves once the Raven wrap is installed. From here, we're ready to install the Raven wrap because we have all 3 legs with the adhesive backed Velcro on them. But we're probably going to need to prep these first if we're going to install the Kestrel pouch and or the Power Plant pouch, the P3 pouch. So when looking at this, on this Velcro strip you have on the outside here, the hook side strip, you have 1 loop on top, and down here you have 2 loops on the bottom. The 2 loops on the bottom you have to make sure that those face downward and that this is the upward side. This will end up attaching your hammock or your equipment shelf as well as your accessory straps. So before we attach this to the tripod itself, we need to make sure that if we're going to utilize the Kestrel pouch or the Power Plant pouch, we need to install it first. Both pouches are a single strap MOLLE backed pouch, and from here we just weave in and out and get these installed prior to installing the sleeve on the tripod itself. Once we have the Kestrel pouch installed on each of the leg sleeves, we can install these onto the tripod now. Same thing goes for the Power Plant pouch. What we're going to want to do is look at the bow ties that are set up on here, which are attachment points for the G-hooks on any of the panels that we're going to put onto the system. You take those center of those bow ties and center line those on the outboard edge of the leg sleeve, making sure that we're utilizing as much of the upper portion of the carbon leg sleeve as possible. From here, we can wrap the leg sleeve around and get it as tight as we possibly can, and it'll Velcro back onto itself. Once we have it on there, we want to make sure that our bow ties are pretty centerline on the outboard portion of the leg sleeve so that this can go either way as far as the position of the shooter, utilizing the tripod or the spotter. We also can note now that this won't rotate because of the adhesive backed Velcro, and you'll notice that there's a little bit of extra material barely sticking out. The system has been designed to where it can bump up to a 34L model of the tripod, as well as fit to the 24L. So there's a little bit of extra material there that will not get in your way. So as you install that leg sleeve, prior to this leg sleeve being installed, or after, we need to remove the shot cord that is attached to the loop inside of there. This shot cord is designed to be a veg attachment point that will X-wrap all the way down the side. So you have a small tab or a small channel up front in the top dead center. We're going to run that through and make sure that those are an even length. From there, we're going to wrap. It's going to kind of fold over. It's going to wrap an X pattern around the back. And then we're going to be able to slide this through between a couple of the MOLLE lashing points on the back of the pouch, if there is a pouch there. If not, it's not a concern at all. It'll just X-wrap on the front of the leg sleeve itself. Cross over, X-wrap on the back side, come around, X-wrap one more time on the front side, and then around back. It'll X one more time on the back side, and there is a channel on the front designed to run this through and drop out the center. It'll come through from either side, drop out the center, and then you can take the cord lock that comes with each system, or each leg sleeve in the system, punch that through, adjust the tension that you want, and tie a knot at the bottom of the cord lock. That way it doesn't slip through when you don't want it to slip through. Make that taut good, or that knot good and tight. Tighten up your cord lock runner up to it. And then now your system is adjustable as far as the tension is concerned, how much tension you want on your shock cord. Now all 3 leg sleeves have that same exact system. It'll be the same to set up all 3. Once that cord lock is on, or that shock cord is on, what we're going to be able to do now is install the accessory straps. So the next thing that we're going to install onto the leg sleeve that we've just finished installing is the accessory strap. There's an accessory strap for each leg, and once we get into the capabilities brief video, once the system's completely put together, we'll go through the different purposes for the accessory straps and why they're there. The first thing you want to do, since the accessory straps are adjustable, you want to make sure that they get to a point lengthwise where they can attach to that upper loop here, and of the 2 lower loops, the upper lower loop on the bottom end. And so this is we can do this by dry fitting it, just starting here and seeing once I pull down on this, where that'll about land. And I know that I'm good pretty much right there. So to actually get this installed, what I'm gonna do is on the back side of the leg sleeve, there's 2 elastic straps. And that's to make sure that this stays snug up against the leg and doesn't become a target indicator for me as I'm out on a stock lane or in a hide site or using this thing at all. So I'm going to pull this out and slide that G-hook through that first elastic strap, keeping everything taut all the way down. I'm going to go through the second elastic strap. At this point, everything should pretty much stay dressed up really well. And then I can fold this up, pull this down, make sure it's good and tight. And now my legs sleeve has the accessory strap on the inboard side of it, and it pretty much remains non-existent until I need it. It's out of the way, doesn't add any bulk to the system, and definitely doesn't become a target indicator. So one of the big things about installing this is the 2 running ends, the adjustable ends that can flop out when you're looking at the accessory strap, need to be on the inboard side and up against the leg sleeve. That way, when you run them through the straps, they're not wanting to flop out here. They're tucked on the inboard side between the actual strap itself and the leg sleeve. The last three items that we have in the system to install is going to be your hammock, your mesh hammock, your primary accessory pouch, and the MOLLE panel that attaches the primary accessory pouch or anything else. These are available to order extra for the system if you want to adapt more to the system to hold more stuff. But the primary accessory pouch drops right onto this. The system was kind of designed so it ships in this, and this turns around and becomes part of the system. So as you're looking at your MOLLE panel, go to the top row where there's a full 4 MOLLE slits across of it. From there, it transitions to 2. So go to the first one where there's 4. You'll notice also on the back side that your G-hooks are stretchable, meaning these are fully adjustable. You can unvelcro those from the back and make this longer or shorter. That way, if you're adapting to a wider tripod stance, like something that angles out further, you're able to adapt that panel to that system. So take this, go to the top 4, and start running these through. What that'll do is by going to the top 4 is this will keep the bottom of the pouch and the bottom of the panel even together versus one sticking out farther than the other. The way this kit was designed was once the primary accessory pouch is adapted to the MOLLE panel can fold back in on itself, fold the G-hooks in so it doesn't make any noise, take the outboard triangles, bring them up and hook them back in on one of the laser cut MOLLE slits in the panel itself. What this does is this ensures that you simply have a GP pouch. So if this is something that you're never going to adapt to the never going to adapt to the tripod system, or not very often adapt it to the tripod system, this still becomes your primary accessory pouch for any GP needs that you need. Your sniper data book, target reference cards, any brevity information you have, map pens, calculator, anything like that. This still can be a very good, solid general purpose pouch for you to use without adding a whole lot of bulk or weight or anything to it. It stays silent because of the way the G-hooks actually configure once it's hooked back in on itself. But to adapt this to the tripod, simply unhook the G-hooks. And probably the easiest way to do this is to collapse the legs of the tripod a little bit. From here, each of these bow ties sticking out right here are designed for this MOLLE webbing. G-hook down on each side, and it attaches fairly quickly. Spread your legs of the tripod back out. And now you have more of a workstation than just a tripod. Food can go in there. Again, all your sniper data information can go in there. You've got your Kestrel adapted here. You've got a full suite of batteries in there for everything from your enablers to your Vector 21 or Vector 23 or whatever you might have. And then the last thing that we need to attach to the system is the hammock itself. So as we had talked about previously, on the very bottom here, there's 2 loops. We have one hanging loose on the bottom now, and at that point, that's where we attach our G-hooks for the hammock or the equipment shelf. Collapse our tripod legs in a little bit. Connect all 3 hooks. Now we have a hammock. Not only do we have a place where we can put something that we need to be able to rapidly get to and utilize, something that we continue to utilize and we don't want to keep zipping or unzipping a pouch to get to, but also we can add weight here on an extremely windy day to weight down the system itself. So that, as you have what comes in the Advanced Sniper Observation Kit for the True North Raven Raven Wrap Kit, this is fully adapted now. The next piece that we're going to assemble is the Mod Dose from the MUB. Filled with M-LOK attachments left to right. You've got a total of 16 M-LOK attachments and then quite a few 1/4-20 screw holes to be able to mount things and have an exceptional amount of modularity to make sure that you can configure this how you want for the way that you run your observation optics. This is going to come in the kit with 2 True North Raven Mod Dose Spacer Kit pucks, as well as 2 Really Right Stuff BTC Pro clamps. These Pro clamps are originally designed for an Atlas bipod. They adapt to an Atlas bipod so that you can use them on either a Picatinny rail system, weapon system, or with the Arca Swiss dovetail on it. So the first thing you're going to do, these will come with the hardware installed. You're going to take out the 2 top screws that adapt your clamps to the adapter. And the first thing we're going to do is install the adapter. Now, the reason why the adapter was created was because if you tried to take the clamp and install it straight here to the top of the Mod Dose, you would crush the thumb screw and it wouldn't work. There was no interoperability between these 2 products. So what we're going to do with the spacer kit is we're going to drop this on. Right into the M-LOK slots. And then we're going to utilize that T-nut to tighten up. Once this is tightened up, and squared up the way that I'd like it to be on each side, now we can adapt our Really Ride Stuff BTC Pro clamp to the system. What this allows me to do is this allows me to build it so that the thumb screw is not only flush or inboard of the overall Mod Dose geometry. So if the tripod falls over, I'm not breaking a thumb screw, as well as I'm not increasing the overall profile of the plate on top of my tripod mounting system. So I'll install these. Now I've got the adapter system on here. The other option too is the measurement of these 2 screws left to right. You can take the T-nuts off of those and you can mount that directly to the center if you're wanting to put one of these clamps in the exact center of the Mod Dose system. So right now the system comes with 2 of these spacer kits and 2 of the BTC Pro clamps, but more available to purchase if you'd like. So setting up the Mark IV spotter. This is a pre-issued item. It's already in the military inventory. This is a gold ring version of the Mark IV spotter. The only real difference is the Mark IV will have a black ring and a reticle inside of it. So this is armored up with some rubber armor on the outside. There's also armor on the objective lens. The armor around the objective lens is put there by double-sided tape. That's going to need to come off. So the first thing that we're going to do with this is peel this armor off and make sure that this is bare metal available to us, because we're going to adapt the Badger system straight to the aluminum beautification ring there. This can get cleaned up. All this double-sided tape can come off. I've had this spotting scope since the early 2000s, so that's probably on there to stay. So that comes off. The next thing that we need to put on this before we get to the slick system is going to be the soft cover. The soft cover is pretty simple to add on. the front end opens up, both with Velcro here that you can kind of stick back onto itself, as well as a Velcro piece that will wrap around the objective lens area. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this over. The material on top is 4-way stretch material, and it'll give a little bit and give you some leeway to force this on there. But this is a bit of a challenge, so take your time doing it. It'll fight you. Now once we have it at this point, we can take that small strap, tuck everything in nice and tight, pull it up against the housing of the tripod, and wrap that over just like that. And from here, this will actually wrap around the slick system itself on the front of the bracket on the overhead Picatinny rail. So the way this works is this is on shot cord, so this can get pulled back, stretched over, and becomes your ocular housing protective cover. And when you're ready for that to come off, that'll pull off, and because there's hook side Velcro here, it attaches any one of these spots here and stays out of the way. Pull this off, rotate that over, and it'll stay out of your way the whole time that you're utilizing the optics. So from here, we're going to install the Badger Slick system. So set that aside for a minute. On the Badger Slick system, the objective ring mount needs to be loosened. There's a single screw that when facing at the objective side is right about the 130 position. We're going to take this screw, and I usually just remove it entirely. Now, one of the easiest ways I've found to put these on is by taking a knife, putting it in there, and allowing that knife blade to spread that out a little bit. From here, we're going to install this right on. Once it's started, knife can go away, and we can get that piece on. Now, before you tighten that up, to make sure that this is square and true to where you want it, we're going to install the bottom rail. Now, the bottom rail comes with one screw installed on one end and a recessed boss and a hole on the other end. That is designed to mount up with where you would normally put your Arca rail attachment or your Manfrotto RC2 attachment. So this will line straight up with the objective ring, the mounting point there, and we can snug that up. From here, we need to make sure that this is on all the way and rotate it in the right direction. And there's an extra screw that comes in one of the plastic bags in the slick system that this drops into. That screw is designed to be the rear mount point for the bottom rail. Just make sure that we're in line, we're good to go. And now we can snug up the front screw as well. From here, because now I've got this perfectly aligned and this isn't going to rotate anymore on me, I'll reinsert the screw that I removed from the objective ring mounting point, tighten that in, give it another full turn, 3/4 of a turn, and you should be good to go. Now you have a hard mounting point here that's also bridged back to the 1/4-20 mounting screw on the rear side of the under rail. Now you should be solid. From here, you can add anything you want or you can leave it stream down like this. These are the 2 points in our soft cover. They fold over in front of that vertical and wrap around it. The other thing that I prefer to do too, so that I can tension this rear soft cover a little bit more, is to pull these tight and pull one across the other and weave it into that loop. And once it's weaved into that loop, it stays put a little bit better, both made up under there, but that thing goes back home a lot better and stays a lot more secure. At this point, I would attach my cat eye. And my cat eye, I like to come up at the vertical at the 12 o'clock, meaning I mount it right at about the 10:30 position here. And the reason for that is, one, my night vision mount that'll get attached as well stays completely out of the way of that. The other reason is if I'm in bright daylight on a range, I can flip that up just like that, and it'll give me some shade over the objective lens. That helps as well. The other thing is that I can pop it completely out of the way, not get in the way of any of my mounting points or my night vision rails if they're here. And then if I've got an enabler on the top rail, like a Raptor or something like that, I can just leave it there and shoot all my lasers and have my collectors free and clear of anything obstructing its view. But it's optional. Put this wherever you prefer to put it. I prefer it here, and then I can use it like the cat eye. I can use it as a sunshade, or I can get it completely out of the way if I'm not using any of the top enablers. So this drops back down, and from here, I have 3 more rails to mount. I've got my side rails, and I usually put these on at the 3 and 9 o'clock position. Now this is my night vision Picatinny rail mount. This will go on one of the diagonal points anywhere you want on the scope, but it's got a big thumb screw on it, and the Picatinny rail is actually pointed inboard. And the reason for that is because once this is on there, when it's loose, I can pull it, I can pull the rail back, and I can, without taking anything completely off, I can rotate it out and screw the thumb screw in. Now I have a mounting point for my PVS 27 or my PVS 30. Now I've got my night vision inline clip-on set up without issue. I can loosen this system up again, not ever really need to remove it fully from the system, rotate it back, and then just tighten it back up, and it becomes a non-issue. So I have mine on the lower right-hand corner or the lower left-hand corner. You can put that wherever you prefer, because the PVS 30 or the PVS 27 is irrelevant whether it's mounted right side up or upside down. So once we have this fully assembled, this also comes with an adapter piece here. And the adapter piece, you can tension that screw, and as you flip this lever, clamps onto your Picatinny rail. clamps down, and this gives you a point, a quarter 20 point, to adapt something like the mark plates that are included into your kit. But the beauty of the Mod Dose system with the Really Right Stuff Pro clamps is that that will grab that Picatinny rail directly, and there's absolutely no need to put any more adapters on this system. That's how you install your soft cover, your Badger slick cage, as well as your cat eye from Badger Ordnance. In conclusion, the True North Raven ASOC kit or Advanced Sniper Observation Kit should give the shooter everything they need to adapt to any pre-existing hardware in the inventory, i.e. the optics that are already available and already on issue. This should be able to be a fully scalable system with your power plant system here to be able to adapt and sustain any of your enablers on top, your Kestrel pouch here, accessory pouch, as well as all the accessories and tooling that the True North Raven Raven Wrap brings. You got your Mod Dose table, you got your Really Right Stuff BTC Pro clamps that can house both Picatinny rail as well as Arca Swiss dovetail adapters. You can see in the configuration we currently have, we have a spotting scope and a rangefinder. This can be set up as many different configurations as you can think of.